everybody, welcome to McFarland Minutes, our weekly podcast hosted by Natalie McFarland, me, and founder and president of McFarland Productions, and Scout Foster, our outreach marketing manager. In these episodes, you can expect deleted scenes, in-depth campaign reviews, project highlights, marketing concepts, book reviews, and a deep dive into the creative process at Off Your Rocker Films, and of course, invaluable lessons on mentorship, leadership, and the business of it all. We are so excited to be releasing our episodes every Sunday as your soft launch to Monday. Hey, episode 2. Excited to have you here with us again this week for our second podcast of McFarland Minutes. This week, goal setting. I feel like this is one of our number one topics that we talk about at McFarland Productions, and I think every single person that goes through the interview process with us, that goes with us every week to our weekly check-ins, oh man, we talk about these all the time. Scout, goal setting. Why do we care?
Well, I feel like the two of us are like the most hardcore goal setters known to man. And we probably people probably hate us for it, but I just think that if you're not going to work to be better, you're never going to be better. And like, do better is kind of like
we need t-shirts for Scout that say like, quote, do better, Scout, you know?
Literally. But I don't know. I don't even know where like I got this like obsession with goal setting, because I don't remember being like this as a kid. But yeah, you and I, we bond over some goal setting. I'll tell you that.
I think that's exactly right, Scout. And I think that like all of us, particularly you and I, are kind of the hardcore goal setters. And I kind of had an idea actually for like, how do we structure this, or how do we track this, or how do we like make it a thing that we're for sure going to do all the way back when Kevin and I got married. So, we got married almost 12 years ago now, working on number 12. But when Kevin and I got married, I think it's like natural that you like go to people who have been married a really long time, usually family or really close friends, and ask them basically like, what's the secret to life, right? Like, how do I make my marriage successful? Like yours clearly has been, right? And I have the good fortune to have had parents that were married at the time that we got married, well over 40 years. And I think last year actually was their 50th. And so I guess they would have been like late 30s. Anyway, they'd been married a very, very long time. So I had a very good fortune that I grew up with parents that had been married so long. And so of course, naturally, my question to them was like, how do you make marriage work? And their response was basically setting goals together. And funny enough, I've actually used this as like a prompt, back when we used to shoot weddings, this, back in the day, right? You know how you like try to get the couple to like interact and you're like, man, how could I do that? So I applied this from that perspective first. And I said, okay, what I want to do is I'm going to get away from you guys. I'm going to take some pictures of you guys chatting and that sort of thing. But this is for you guys. I want you guys to basically set these goals. And I told the story of my parents telling me that. And I hope that becomes a tradition for you, right? It did for a lot of those couples that we photographed. And as far as I'm aware, a lot of them still do it to this day, where every year on their anniversary, they set new ones. And Kevin and I have done it ever since we got married. So every year we set usually 3 to 5 goals that we want to achieve, and it's things that we can work on together, right? So it's not necessarily things that like would be a just me goal or a just Kevin goal. They're things that we can work towards. Basically, like, how do we find North by Northwest, and how do we keep ourselves on that same path together? So transition to shooting weddings, using it there, and then immediately implementing that also at McFarland Productions. Like, how can a business then set these goals and execute every year, right? Have a 1-year anniversary check-in, 2-year, 3-year, once a year anniversary check-in on these goals. So We've done that since the beginning of McFarland Productions when it was just me. And then as we grew, it's been set more and more. And Kevin, even before he was here full time on McFarland Productions, was involved in those. And so was Stephanie Furlong, who's still one of our team members too. And, those sessions there's like some level of magic in them. I feel like sometimes, like, I'm not like a manifest it kind of person, right? Like I don't really believe in manifesting it, but maybe like in a way, in that like we would set a goal and then like 2 months later, some
Mm-hmm.
major thing related to that is happening, right? I do
Yeah.
think that it's not manifesting, right? I don't like say it and it populates out
Mm-hmm.
of thin air, but I think that setting these goals like gives you something that you're pushing on. And if you're pushing on it, it's likely to happen. So, anyway, that's my story on goals.
Yeah.
Um,
It kind of reminds me of like, did you guys I don't know if like as a family, but like like every, like, so there's four of us, my family, like mom, dad, sister, and me. I feel like we would go somewhere or like my dad would buy a lottery ticket and he's like, this is the winning ticket. Like if we win, this is what I'm going to do. Not that it was like a goal, but like it was kind of like a theoretical like chat. Like what would you do with the money that you won? I kind of think that's like, and then like in that conversation, like you get really excited about like, what if we win? You know what I mean? Like, what if we actually win the lottery? Like, we're doing all these things. Less about like the money, and I think more about like the experiences that like the money would like give you. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
But it kind of reminds me like of that. Like, I feel like when you and I are setting goals, we're like so hyped. What if we actually
What
check
if,
this off like sooner
what
than
if
we
we,
think? Or like, what if we crush this? You know what I mean? Like, I think that's
yeah.
something that,
And then when
like, it
we
kind
do,
of
it is a
like,
little bit like winning the lottery.
yeah, yeah. I do think that like you and I get like a goal setting high. Like some people have like
Oh,
runner's high. Not me. I have a goal setting high.
yeah, goal setting and then
Yeah.
subsequent achieving. Like I
Mhm.
think that's like
Mhm.
where the like blind ambition sort of thing comes in,
Mhm.
and like we've done videos on that before, and so hopefully y'all have seen me talk about attitude, fear, blind ambition. But maybe we do a podcast episode on that someday.
Mhm.
But I do feel like the like putting the blinders on and like focusing on something, like you're bound to get somewhere if you focus on it.
Right.
So
Mhm.
I think like the important part about goals at McFarland Productions is that it's not set by me, it's not set by Scout, it's not set by Kevin, it's not set by whoever, right? It's not an upper management decision, it's a team decision, right? And
Mhm.
while we have people that are, kind of the main people that are taking care of that sector, right? We all contribute to all of those goals all the time. This
Mhm.
podcast is a big part of our goals for this year. So being able
Right.
to like execute together, I think is a big thing. I think,
Mhm.
you know, every little piece of those goals ends up working for the whole team. And so that's like the North by Northwest for McFarland Productions, I feel like, is these
It's,
goals.
yeah, I agree, and I also think that it's um goal setting as a team is really important for us because we are all remote. So I think it kind of ties all of us together for the same purpose and like the same goal. And we might be working on different aspects of that goal, but it's one goal that we all are like really pushing forward to achieve. Like you and I, Kevin, like a few of our other team members and contractors, and like everybody else we work with, our clients, like we're all like trying to inch forward. Like I think it's just, it's like one large thing that like binds
Yes.
all of us.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, especially in a remote situation like we are. Like you want
Mm-hmm.
to know how to make remote work, have goals that are common, you know?
Right,
Like
right.
that is the key, is that's how you make remote work, is have goals that
Mm-hmm.
are common. But recently we've gone from talking about these once a year, and not that we would talk about them once a year and then like never look at them again, but we didn't have like a structure that we looked at them on
Mhm.
like a regular basis, right? We all knew what our goals were. We also have personal goal or like individual goals too within the company. So sometimes those are
Mhm.
certifications. Sometimes those are education things. Sometimes those are skill achievements. Sometimes they're very personal things, right? Like I've had a goal on my list, although I'm still working on this one. Maybe someone could give me some tips on this one, but some of the fitness stuff, is certainly on my
Mhm.
list for personal, but we have
Same.
those individual personal growth ones that our
Mhm.
company focuses on a lot as well. Like all of us want to help each other achieve that because if you're happy and fulfilled in your personal life, you're more likely to be
Exactly.
happy and fulfilled in your work life. And we spend too much
100%.
time working to not be on each other's team even on a personal level.
Mhm.
So, yeah. I think what we're really going to talk about though in this episode is how we set goals for the company. And that does not mean that the individual goals are less important. I just think that if we don't focus, we're not going to make an episode, right? So,
Mhm.
for this episode's purposes, Scout, can you talk about how we make these goals and like how do they have to be written in order to make it a goal, right? So it can't just be like, I want to do better, right? As much as I love that saying, right? What does doing better look like? Like how do you set it? How do we set goals?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we set SMART goals, but I cannot remember all of the I cannot remember what the acronym stands for, but I know that when we are setting goals, number one, I want to make sure that it's realistic. I want a timeline on it. I want us to push ourselves like yes, is it realistic? Yes, but do you need to really work to check it off? You're
Yeah. If you achieve it in the next 30 days, you shot too low. Even the next
which I
quarter.
actually think 100%. I think I've actually covered the MART. I think
Yeah.
measurable, achievable, maybe realistic or result. I don't remember what the R is.
Results,
T
maybe
is
results are
time.
in
What is
time.
S? I don't know what S is.
I don't remember for sure
Can
either.
somebody
And
Google
we
this?
should be able to like
Let
credit the
me.
person on SMART goals, right? So Scout's going to Google it to make sure that we've got this 100% right. But the gist of it is basically that we want to set a goal that is measurable, has a timeline, we know when we achieved it, and it has like a clear path to execution, right? Like we can't just say like we want to make more or do more or achieve more in some specific area, right? More is not qualitative or quantitative, right?
Okay,
It
so
is qualitative.
right. So it doesn't say who set the standard for SMART goals on here. But thank you to I think the University of California for putting this PDF online. So SMART goals, the S is specific, what will be accomplished, what actions will you take? M, measurable, what data will measure the goal, how much, how well. A, achievable, is the goal doable? Do you have the necessary skills and resources? R is relevant. How does the goal align with broader goals? Why is the result important? So I did mess up the R, but we were on the right track with results. Um, 10 is time and what is the time frame for accomplishing the goal. So pretty much all of our goals we do I think that we follow that pretty naturally. Like a lot of our goals were like, well, I want to do this before this deadline. I think that that is maybe a common goal setting
Yeah. If it's
strategy.
like
Like I
if
think
like
that
one of the goals is like email marketing, right? Like you've got email marketing
right.
goals. It's just easy for me to remember that off the top of my head, but it's I want
Mhm.
to increase the open rate specifically from X% to
Mhm.
X%, creating an X percentage year over year increase of open
Mhm.
rate, right? Maybe it's
Right.
maybe it's click-throughs, right, on particular
Mhm.
buttons and things like that.
Mhm.
Those goals are measurable, but they are not so easy to achieve that I'm going to achieve it in the next 3 months, right? They're year goals, like, and I'm going to have to hustle for
Mm-hmm.
however many work days are in a year, 365 days, basically,
Mm-hmm.
to achieve those. So they're big, they're tough, and they're going to take the team to do it. But they're a big deal, I think, when you do get it. They force you to move the needle every week.
Exactly. I think something else too is like the way I really handle goals is that I have like an overarching goal of like this is going to take me all year to complete, but in the next 3 months I want to like hit this goal. So like I can have like a one goal of we're going with email marketing, like to have a click rate of I don't know what X percent, but like in 2 months I want to see at least like this much improvement, or like
Yeah.
I might need to reevaluate how I'm like achieving that goal.
Yeah, there's like
But I think
goals and then there's like milestones along the way, right?
yes, yeah, like subsections too.
Yeah.
And also like you do want it to be achievable, right? So you should be following up at the very least monthly on your goals, but we pretty much do. I mean, we do it weekly.
Yeah.
Not pretty
So,
much, we do it weekly.
yeah, which is sort of new to us. We've
Mhm.
started doing this in recent history, but we created, it's always been written goals, right? I think that's like goal or number
Number
one
1.
thing
Mhm.
with setting goals is write it down, because if you get a year from now and you can't pick up a piece of paper and be like got it, got it, got it, which
Mhm.
sometimes you go got it, oh crap, I forgot about that one. If you only do it a
Mhm.
year apart, um if you don't write it down, you're not going to remember it in a year, right? So
Mhm.
how are you possibly going to measure it or know if you achieved it, right? So we have
Right.
started a spreadsheet, and on that
Mhm.
spreadsheet we've got like sections for each one of our people. And those sections for people, again, these are team goals, not individual goals that I'm talking about in this particular scenario. But those sections assigned by people are just like the main person in charge. Again, that doesn't mean they're doing it alone. It just means that like they are the needle mover, right? Like they're
Mhm.
end all be all responsible for that one, for pushing the needle forward. But
Mhm.
so we've got all of our goals written by section, by person, and who is basically responsible for that. We've got a how we're going to do that, right? So this is really like those milestones. Like in X number of months, I will have achieved this specific KPI, in order to know that I am moving towards the bigger goal, right? So, how can like having that column allows us to then go to the status column, like, are you still working on this? Is this one dead? And maybe it just like not all good ideas work out, right? Sometimes
Like
you
just
could have,
rethink it.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
it's
think that,
like
like the
the do
goal
you
is
need to
good.
rethink it column.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
the next one is our weekly status update. So on Friday of every week, every person goes through and they fill out the portions that they are responsible for, right? That they are the key person on. So the status updates gets put in there. The previous week's status update gets moved to its dated column so that we can see the progression over time. But in that status update, it can just be small things, right? Like you don't necessarily have to move the needle forward a ton that week, but we do
Mhm.
still have to be working in the northwest by northwest direction, right? If the
Mhm.
answer is not a darn thing has happened for too many weeks in a row, right?
Mhm.
We're not paying close enough attention. We're not going to meet those goals by the end of the year. So that column is that. Now, Scout. We talk
Mhm.
about in our wrapper of the show soft launch to Monday,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
That's a you phrase. You came up with that one.
I did say that, yeah.
It was related to goals. Can you talk about why you started soft launch to Monday?
Yeah, so soft launch to Monday was actually like never named until I said it to you a couple weeks ago. But I have always done this, and I'm gonna be honest, I really don't know if this is like a healthy work trait or if this is a toxic work
But
trait
I
of
think
mine.
everybody
So,
has something, especially like leaders, people who are pushing
right.
forward.
It works for me. It doesn't have to work for everybody else. I think if you would have told me this, like when I first came on full time, I was like very into trying to have like a work life balance. So like if you would have told me that I would soft launch to Mondays on Sunday night, I would have been like, toxic, toxic. Like, I'm not doing that. Now I'm like, no, actually, I like to sit down on a Sunday nights. Like, I usually do this. Like, Lane has gone to bed. Like, he's preparing like his nighttime routine, so it's like quiet. I put like the dogs in their room. Like, well, one dog sleeps with us, but the other dog has her own room. But so like nobody is distracting me. Like, it's quiet. Like, I've done the dishes. I've cleaned up the kitchen from dinner. I'm in grad school right now, so I usually have something lingering like due at 11:59 on Sundays. So I think this is like where it really started from. Like, while I'm waiting for like my last assignment to upload, I love like going into my email. Like, I usually like clear all the stuff I'm not going to read out. I subscribe to a lot of marketing emails. One, just like to keep track of like what competitors are doing for our clients, but also to like a lot of continued ed or like resource, like resources for email marketing or social or just softwares that like I love to spend my Monday mornings like reading those and like diving into a little bit of like continued education and updates and things, which we'll talk a little bit more in, you know, episodes after this one. So I think that like it really came to be is like I don't want to open my email on Monday morning to like 47 emails. Like, that would really just send my head off of my shoulders. So I started going through Sunday nights when like I've had a great well-lived weekend. I'm wrapping up, but I'm also like soft launching a new week. So sometimes it looks different, but pretty much every Sunday I go through, clear out my inbox. So usually I can see like some things from the previous week that I didn't totally finish. Like, maybe they should have been finished, but maybe they like I'm
Or
waiting
you're
for
waiting
something.
on
So usually
something.
like right, like so those like go to like the top of my to-do list, and then I'll clear out all of the resources and newsletters that I do want to read, and if I don't want to read them, I just delete them. Like, I just get them out of there. But it's like a 10 minute, maybe 15 if I like want to click like inside the email to see if I like really want to read it, or like, did we wrap this up? Like, is my job done here? Like, can I just clear the email, like mark, as read? It really starts in my email inbox, and then it kind of like filters into my to-do list. So I am not a daily to-do list gal. This is going to actually send the project manager inside of you, but I just don't work well. I love a list, but like I usually keep a mental list. And you're probably going to be like, well, do you forget some things? And yes, I do. I do occasionally forget a few things. But like I don't like to work off of like a one to-do list, or like I honestly, because not everything makes it to my to-do list. So if I'm working off this to-do list, I'm still going to forget other things. So I usually start my inbox, write a to-do list. It's like a weekly to-do list. I do handwrite it, which also is probably like triggering you a little bit, because I know you're like, well, did you put it in ClickUp? And the answer is no. The nature of my job, though, is very fluid. So a lot of things don't make it to like project management software. Kevin does his absolute best to get them in there, and he's great. And I do have tasks assigned to me, but like sometimes it's just not. It's not possible. Like it's honestly like a waste of time for somebody to put task in there for me. So I am my own project management software, and that is my soft launch to Monday. Sometimes it will go to like socials, or a lot of times like I kind of already have like an idea of what I need to do that week. Like, I've done this enough time. Like, I think social media can be pretty repetitive. Like, on the second week of every month, I know I need to start planning content for the next month. So like I think like just the Sunday, I don't know. It just kind of works out. Like, I just sit down on Sunday nights and go through the email is the biggest thing. Like I've said that 600 times, I know, but like that's like the biggest thing. I don't want to wake up on a Monday morning with like an overload of crap in there, to be honest, you know? And that's kind of like where it started, cuz like it'll pile up on you. Like, and I don't do well with that. I want like important things in there and everything else can leave. So that's kind of where it started. But yeah, so I take, I don't know, 10 minutes maybe. Lane's always like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Don't worry about it. It's okay." He does
Yeah,
the
I
same thing
mean,
though.
I feel like soft launch
He
to
started doing
Monday,
it.
like all of us kind of have like something that you do that's soft launch to Monday, right? Like
Mhm.
even if for you that's like I just want to get everything like cleaned, ready to go, like my house is prepped
Right.
for the week, whatever it is. Like many people have a soft launch to Monday. I feel like business leaders or business, especially like business people, right? So I'm not saying like,
Mhm.
um, I think I'm basically saying like people that work in more of like an administrative start type of position where you've
Right.
got that kind of thing, but certainly other professions too. But it probably looks a little different, right? But soft launch to
Mhm.
Monday, I do that too. I go through my email and make sure there's nothing that we missed over the weekend or like what is outstanding from last week. I check in on
Mhm.
ClickUp, I check in on social. And now we've added one more thing, and that thing has, I think, really changed the game. So remember on Friday, we do the updates to our goals sheet, right? So everybody goes through, writes a quick update. I mean, not even sentences sometimes. They're just like quick
Mhm.
notes in there for me to be able to go through. So Sunday afternoon, sometimes it's Monday because life, but
It was Monday
most of the
today.
time it was Monday today, right? It was
Yeah.
early this morning, Monday.
Mhm.
But I take that goal sheet, and we do this with our finances too, but we take that goal sheet and I have a Sunday recording of me, right? So in lieu of doing a team meeting, right, every single week, which may or may not prove helpful to people, right? In lieu of
Mhm.
having a standing meeting on every single person's schedule, I do a video recording of myself. And in that video recording, I include basically the same agenda every single week. But let me bring it up here. So, first and foremost is mission and vision for the company. So, the whole point of these goals are to drive us towards the mission and vision of the company and to push us forward, right? For us, that's both on McFarland and Off Your Rocker Films, right? So we work on both sides of that fence. Off Your Rocker being the sub brand, but certainly kind of has its own personality. And the missions and visions are very similar of both. So I talk about the mission, talk about our vision, and then I tell a story of last week that applies to our mission. So I try to find something that we did in the last week that was on mission, right? Some specific example of that where we were able to achieve our company's mission. And then the next thing is I talk about wins and losses for the last week. Usually we focus on the wins, right? But there's things to be learned from the losses as well. So they could be things like we were able to make a connection with some particular individual in the industry, or we were able to, complete some specific kind of continuing education, or maybe it's a inquiry or something like that. Maybe it's just some conversation we had with somebody from the week that kind of feeds into that mission. Then I roll into the goals. So I take our goal sheet and I go line by line. And try to do this fairly quickly, right? Try not to spend too much time on each individual goal because we've got quite a few of them, including goals that we have on clients' projects and things like that as well. But I run through every single one and just do a status update. Sometimes I'll make some commentary of like questions I have or maybe some way that I see that it could be shown a little bit more, or hey, give me more detail on that, or hey, actually you did do this and you just forgot to note it, those sorts of things. So I go through the goals. That process of going through the goals keeps every single person accountable. it keeps me informed, and it keeps the entire company informed of what everyone is doing to push those goals forward, and also gives us ideas of how we might be able to contribute to that goal, right? So, like this week, for instance, or last week, I guess, last week, one of Kevin's goals is sort of an innovation sort of feel, right? So, how do we utilize tools in order to make our processes more efficient? One of those that Scout and I worked on was this beautiful subscription to Descript for this podcast. And I guess by the time this comes out, it won't be last week. But when we're recording, it was last week that we talked about that. But being able to have AI software or AI included in software that allows us to do our job more efficiently and more effectively, and be able to distribute a lot better whatever the thing is, that's only going to move us towards that goal. So Scout and I were able to contribute to one of Kevin's goals, sort of in that way. So that's kind of how we do it. I run through all those goals, and then at the end of that, I'll roll into any new education pieces that I ran across that week, whether it's a book I read or a webinar I was on, or what maybe I learned from a colleague or sometimes a contractor. Maybe there's
Mm-hmm.
some piece of education, I'll share that. The last thing is that we talk about the dream. Where are we really headed as a team? So those meetings take me, a long one would be like 30 minutes. A short one would be like, I think we were 18 today. That one was a pretty quick one. So like I run through all of those. I post it in our group Google chat, and then people can, respond to any of the questions or comments or things like that. They're in that group Google chat that includes all of us. So once a week, everybody gets an update, and many of those updates are generated by each individual. So even though we're not meeting where everyone can talk, I'm bringing that up. And then if there's questions, of course, we work on those together. But checking in on those goals every week has been a game changer
Mm-hmm.
for McFarland Productions. So I think it
Well,
keeps it going.
I think it, yeah, and I think it also holds us accountable, but it's also an efficient way to hold us accountable. Prior to me working for McFarland Productions, I freelanced for, I was really contract. I don't really know exactly the difference between contract and freelance, but like I use them interchangeably.
They're pretty much
So
interchangeable.
I feel like it kind of is the same thing, but like maybe slight variations. But anyways, I freelanced full time, and I worked pretty much full time hours for a different marketing agency throughout college, and we kind of did something like this, except we had team meetings that lasted for about 2 hours every Tuesday. And if you guys are listening to this, like, hi, hello, great things learned there. I just think that like this keeps us much more efficient, and it's also like our way of doing team meetings without actually having the team together. So we're not there's a couple different sides to this, but like we're not as fortunate to all meet in a conference room every week. We don't, I mean, like we would all have to meet in Arkansas, Florida, Texas, Oregon, wherever else our other contractors are. So I think that like this is a good way to keep the communication open and keep goals like top of mind, but also isn't taking up like so much time of our work week. It also is a great way to like everything that not everything, but like a really good chunk of things that we are working on without being a micromanager. And I think that is like the top benefit to me, because nobody likes a micromanager, okay? Like
I hate,
nobody wants to
I,
feel like one.
I would not want to be one?
I do not want to be one, and I don't want to have one. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like in fact, just butt out kind of, you know. Um you guys have never been that to me, but like I do feel like this is a great way for you to stay in the know and to not like be in it. You know what I mean? Like not like, I don't know. I just feel like in the like what did we accomplish this week? Like how did we move the needle this week? Like what were the things that we like I don't know, it's just like a good way of you staying updated on what your employees are doing and like how we are working to like crush those goals, but you're not necessarily like blowing us up. Like, well, I haven't seen you submit anything this week. Like, what have you done? Like, because that is certainly not the way to go about it. But like, if we openly are like, hey, like, and I did this to you, we were talking the other, I don't know, Friday maybe we were talking. And I'm like, I can't wait for you to like look at the goal spreadsheet because I filled like every single one out. I think there was one that I was like, not one thing here, but like, or like some of them are like still waiting for this, or like there's not, it's not like every goal is immediately crushed, or like I did 6 things for this one goal this week. Like some of them are just like reached out to so and so. Some of them are just like brainstormed this, but I haven't found the right solution yet. Like none of them are like, I mean, sometimes we have like pretty hefty like task lists for that like one goal, but it doesn't have to be, you don't have to reinvent the wheel here. Like I think that it's just it, I think it keeps the goals alive and also keeps us excited about the goals when we are constantly looking at like how we're moving, like we're inching closer to completion.
Yeah, I think it helps us track the goals. I also think that it
Mhm.
helps us strategize about those goals, right? Like when all of us are listening to that this week, I've seen, Kevin be like, "Hey, I saw or I heard this particular thing in the update. Maybe I can help in this way." Or,
Mhm.
I might say that to Kevin like about the Descript thing, like, "Hey,
Mhm.
we actually did together move that needle this week. Descript happened last
Mhm.
week," right? So, it keeps all of
Mhm.
us informed. It keeps all of us strategizing about how we can help each other with those goals. That is so
Mhm.
critically important to me that we all work on these, right?
Like a
And
lot of
it's
them,
a
like I
check-in.
can't. Yeah. Yep. That. I was gonna say like I can't go any further in some of my goals without the help of you or like the help of our social team or like I like some of it I can't move forward on without the help of somebody else. But like it is like my goal that I created that like I have a small like hand in getting it, like boosting our numbers here or whatever. But like I don't know. I think it's a good team builder too.
Yeah. I think that particularly remote teams, right? So for all those
Mm-hmm.
companies out there terrified to start remote teams, or maybe you are a remote team, but you're struggling with that, this is the place, right? Like this is the North by Northwest. This is the direction, like a rising tide lifts all boats and a direction
Mm-hmm.
puts everybody moving forward, right? So like I feel like if you're struggling with that, like any remote company could do this. Any type of team. It doesn't have to be marketing. It could be anything, right? Like remote teams in
Mm-hmm.
particular, in-person teams where you're going to the office every day still would benefit from this.
Mm-hmm.
So from a leadership perspective, it is very helpful for me, right? Like I can see where maybe I know about some specific effort that's being made by a particular team member, and I can see that that other team member who has a piece of that goal could really use help from that one, right? So
Mm-hmm.
as a leader in the company, it allows me to see where we could be working together better, right? Where the team could be pushing better, or maybe like they don't know that the other person's doing that, right? So keeping us on track, keeping us northwest, and like keeping a common goal or a common list of goals in this case,
Mm-hmm.
it has to move the needle forward, right? We've seen it move the needle forward year after year, setting these goals the old way that we did them. So it
Mm-hmm.
only can get better if we're looking at them every week.
Yeah, also like we did set a lot of goals, like you and I, and we talked about them, but we didn't always write them down. And for the most part, like I would say like we did do them. We just maybe didn't do them as well. Like I think we lost a lot of time not looking at them weekly. You know what I mean? Like we you kind of make them in the beginning of the year and maybe you think about them at the end of the year, but like what are you doing in between? Like did you forget about
Yeah.
them? Probably yes.
I think the other great thing about pre-recording this and posting it in our group, ideally a Sunday night, right? The
Mm-hmm.
great thing about the soft lunch to Monday method that we're doing this with this with this recording is that like you can listen to it like a podcast, right? So like maybe your employee is working on, I don't know, photo editing or something that morning, right? Pretty easy
Mhm.
to listen to the goals check-in at the same time, right?
Mhm.
I wouldn't say you can like read and write emails or something or write copy or something while you're listening
Right.
to this because it truly is like you've got to be paying attention. But you should be able to kind of multitask through it. You don't have a specific time. You don't have to check everybody's schedules and make sure that they're going to be available and like somebody missed it this week, so they didn't get the check in. All of that kind of goes away because it allows you to listen to it sort of at your leisure.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
expectation is like as early as possible in the week so that we
Mhm.
can keep moving the needle. But I just think that that's an efficiency point that, is so nice for everyone involved, for leadership that has to run them, to once is running them, maybe doesn't have to run them, that's probably not the right
Mhm.
word, but for leadership who is running them, to people who are executing on those goals and keeping teams connected. I think it's huge doing the soft launch to Monday version, which we're going to talk about every single week. Because
Yeah.
this podcast
I
in itself is going to be hopefully our listeners' partial routine of soft launch to Monday.
yeah. I personally like to listen to your little podcast. One, if when I'm walking the dogs in the morning, or two, when I'm cooking myself breakfast, because both of those are really important things that I can also listen to. Like
Yeah.
I don't even have to be at my desk to do it. Like I can listen to it on my phone.
Yeah.
And cooking breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and that's honestly probably
Kevin
the only
makes a
time I'm gonna
mean
make it.
breakfast. I'll tell you that. It's pretty darn good. I will
Kevin's the
agree
best.
with
I
the
don't.
best breakfast. Or
Yeah.
breakfast is the most important, particularly when Kevin's making it.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit of maybe some beef bacon and potatoes,
Beef. We
some
had beef
eggs.
bacon this morning. There's nothing better.
Ah, dang. I
We
need to
had
order some
the
more.
we had the brisket bacon, the Painted Hills brisket
Mhm.
bacon. Oh,
Mhm.
yep, that's it for me.
That's her. Yep.
Okay, so action items. If you want our template for the goal check-in sheet, the weekly goal check-in sheet, our soft launch to Monday goals edition. um,
Mhm.
I guess they could probably, where do you want them to go? Do you want them to email us? How do you want that?
Um. Well, I feel like we could include it as like a downloadable file in the show notes of this episode. We can link it out, and they can probably get it there.
Okay, cool. Yep, we'll do that. And I think that's it for episode 2. Anything else on goals, Scout?
Nope. I guess our listeners better write them though. We
Write
should.
them down.
Yeah. We should have like a little monthly. We'll do monthly check-ins with our listeners. We won't bother them with a weekly check-in, but maybe we can do a monthly check-in on our Facebook group, McFarland Minutes Facebook group. It's a private
Yeah,
group that they can join, and we can check in on their progress.
yeah,
It'd be
great
fun,
idea. Awesome.
and
Well,
they can use us to help.
yeah, we can
They
certainly
can use
help get
you
you
know.
started. Okay, so goals. Do better, So how do we do better
Do
at goals?
better. Yeah.
Cool. So episode 2, goals. Hope this was a great soft launch to Monday.